and welcome everyone to the first live installment, excuse me, of a Colonist and a Brit Get Along. I'm with my friend Kizza today. Those of you who followed me for a while, you absolutely know who this is. He's been around since the very beginning of my channel, and we talk quite a bit. Today, we're doing an installment about F1. So, Kizza, welcome. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yourself?
Oh, I'm not bad. I slept pretty good. I've been enjoying the nice weather we have here. Very English weather we've had here lately. It's cool, it's rainy, it's cloudy. I've barely seen the sun in about a week, and I love it. So it's quite good.
Well, we've had some April showers, but then it's really turned up the temperature. So,
Well, thankfully, it's still nice and cool here, overcast with plenty of rain. My kind of weather. I love it. So it's been quite a while since our last installment. I don't remember exactly when it was, but it's been months now at least.
oh, a good long while. Let me check your uploads. Let's see, a Colonist and a Brit. Oh Lord, it must be going back some years. God, I
I know
hate when
it's
it.
been I know it's been quite a while. I have a playlist built for a
Yeah.
colonist and a Brit, which I'll go ahead and share
Oh,
here.
it's over a year ago.
Yeah, I knew it was quite some time. I thought it might even be over a year. Kizza and I talk about all matter of things, and if you'd like to check it out, there's the playlist I put together for it on YouTube. There, I'll share it in the chat for people. I'll go ahead and put
Yes,
it over in the other one as
yeah,
well.
just 13 months ago.
Yeah. Those of you that are on Rumble and Odyssey or Entropy listening to this, I don't have a created playlist for it on Odyssey because it's tedious and takes a long time to build those. But on YouTube here, if you'd like to listen to what Kiz and I have talked about on and off for the last 5 or 6 years, you can check that out. The reason I'm live streaming it today is I want to make more live stream content on my channel. And I like to entertain, I like to talk, I like to socialize more than I like to doom document, more than I like to cover politics. All of that stuff is just an interest that I took when I discovered the censorship and the anti-whiteism and all the other stuff going on. But my passion is in talking with people about interesting things and just being a conversation host. So today, Kizza and I are going to be talking about something. Let me embiggen this here so we can all see it.
Yep. Embiggen.
In Formula One, there's an old timer named Nelson Piquet, and I believe I'm
Piquet.
saying that correctly, right?
Piquet.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
Piquet. Nelson Piquet is fined almost 100,000. I assume that's U.S. dollars in
Nearly $1
damages
million.
for a supposed racial comment against Lewis Hamilton. Now, those of you that know old Hammy and you're part of F1 fandom, you might have some loaded opinions about old Hammy, but we'll leave that aside for now. Kizza, why don't you take a few minutes and for those of people that are not into F1, let people know what's going on here and who these two men are.
Okay, so Nelson Piquet is actually a three-time Brazilian Formula One champion. He won the title in, the memory serves, 1981, 1983, and 1987. And the comments in question, which just to remind myself, I watched the so-called podcast where this comment came up. And apparently he referred to Lewis Hamilton. He is referenced using the phrase Niguenho.
Yeah. I guess that's how you say it.
Yes, which in Portuguese translation, when translated to English, means little black guy.
Yeah.
The problem is with modern social media is that how it's used and depicted in Brazil is completely different to how modern sensibilities understand it.
Specifically, anti-white sensibilities in media.
Well, yes, because it's not like they don't take issues with so-called racial slurs when it's certain people using them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's against.
On the podcast in question, do you have the exact quote of what PK said on tap? Because if not, I can pull it up in the.
I do. Damn it! Wait, I do have the clip here. I'll post it in the private chat. It's just a sort of thing, but basically, it's basically referencing the incident between Lewis Hamilton and his son-in-law Max Verstappen at Silverstone in 2021, where it was on the first. It was on the first lap where Hamilton understeered on a very fast right-hander, catches Verstappen's left rear. He spins out and goes flying into the tire wall, causing a 50G impact.
Yeah.
But this is the clip shortened down, and
All right, this is only 40 seconds. Let's go ahead and take a look at this here. Let's have a look at this.
for YouTube purposes, we don't own this content, but we are showing it to give education, to give context to what we're
Yes, to provide context and commentary as well. So, and this is only 40 seconds, so this shouldn't get the channel in trouble. We'll see.
Que o Verstappen teve com o Hamilton foi meio parecido esse que teve acho que foi na Inglaterra.
Em Silverstone?
É.
Now this is in Portuguese, so remember we're just watching this for the tone, and we're going to talk about it after this.
Não, o Neguinho meteu o carro e deixou.
Mas foi o que o Senna fez. E
não, o Senna não fez isso. O Senna saiu reto. Reto.
Acho que ele não faria aquela curva.
Ele? Nunca.
Entendi.
Não, ele foi para você. Aqui eu arranco ele de qualquer maneira. O Neguinho deixou o carro. E é uma curva. É porque você não conhece a curva. É uma curva muito de alta. Não tem jeito de passar dois carros. E não tem jeito de você botar o carro do lado. O Neguinho fez de sacanagem.
Ele fez sacanagem.
Agora, só acho que só o.
So, what we saw right there. My screen's white right there for some reason.
No, it's perhaps an oversight. But now, for those who from what I gathered from that little clip there, it seems to me that the guy who's interviewing him is trying to make reference to that incident at Silverstone 2021 to what Ayrton Senna did to Prost back in 1990.
Yeah,
and it's
which
clear
was
by his. Ayrton Senna basically drove straight into Alan Prost at the 1990 Japanese Grand Prix to take him out.
Okay. So that's what he's referencing there. And he's talking about Hamilton and other drivers there. And I didn't get the vibe from that conversation. He was being particularly derogatory to either of them. But I don't speak Portuguese, but judging from his body language, he was talking about clearly something that he was upset about or that he couldn't believe happened, but it didn't seem like he was denigrating one person. So with the translation that I read, it didn't seem that way either. So
no, but like the issue is that people don't like to bring about context. I mean, hell, like the fact that loads of articles don't even have a link or even show the actual stream in question what was said. That should say it all.
That's correct. So let's start there for a second. Let's pull this back up, and we're going to have a look at it here. Because in this article, it does not link to what this guy actually said. It just talks about the thing that happened. It talks about how in an interview way back in 2021, which just became public or became popular in the public sphere in the last few months. Hamilton called for action to change, quote, archaic mindsets. And we've all heard this kind of anti-white terminology before. After the footage interview to social media last June, Piquet 70 apologized to the British driver and said his comments had been mistranslated. Piquet's daughter, Kelly, is Verstappen's partner. And now, for those who do not follow F1, Kizza, tell people who Verstappen is.
Max Verstappen is the current two-time defending Formula One world champion, and he's still on record as the youngest F1 driver ever in history, and that record's never going to be broken.
Yeah, he. How old was he when he started? He was very young. What was it? 19?
He not long turned 17, but in 2014, he was 60. He was 16 years old when he did a free practice session with Toro Rosso.
Wow.
Yeah, so incredible. he was a baby, and because he got because he qualified, he got the seat with Red Bull when he signed with them with their so-called junior team Toro Rosso in 2015. But the FIA went ballistic and it's like, you can't put a quote-unquote child in the Formula One car. And that's why they changed the rules, saying you must be at least 18 years old. You must have a driver's license, because that's the funny thing. He didn't even have his driving license before he started in F1.
Oh, wow.
And then they had the super license point system where you have to qualify to get a super license.
And so this man's daughter is the girlfriend of Verstappen?
Yes.
Okay.
And
her name's Kelly, it says here.
Yeah, Kelly Piquet, yeah, because Elson's pretty old. And like I said, he's a three-time champion. Mm-hmm. And also, but but the thing with Nelson is that he has a long history of saying some quite outlandish things in interviews.
Okay.
Like there's a thing when he was at Williams back in the late 80s when he was rivaling Nigel Mansell when they were teammates, he made the statement of Nigel's an uneducated blockhead whose wife is ugly. Yeah,
sounds relatable.
and as towards Ayrton Senna, his fellow Brazilian rival, he said that he was a Sao Paulo taxi driver who doesn't like women.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
which yeah, so he has been known for saying some crazy stuff in interviews.
okay. Well, in another clip, it says Piquet used racist and anti-gay language against Hamilton. Now, I looked for this and I couldn't find it anywhere. Could you find this? I
Let me see if I can find
this.
it. Let me think it. Let me see if I can find it. Nelson Piquet 2016. 2016.
I
controversy.
found clips of that event and people talking, but no concise clip of what exactly he was claimed to have said.
Supposedly, let's see. If I can find the actual video, because I'm getting his news articles, not the actual podcast clip. But supposedly he said something about because when Hamilton lost the title in 2016 to Nico Rosberg, he's one of 3 people who himself and his father both become Formula One champions. And supposedly the quote goes, Rosberg was busy winning the title, and Lewis was too busy giving out his backside.
Okay, well, I don't think that's particularly anti-gay in my opinion, but that's just men speaking crass about one another. That's a pretty common occurrence the world over. So when it comes to this particular case here, it says Lewis Hamilton, who was awarded honorary Brazilian citizenship last June, is the sport's only black driver. The charges were brought by 4 human rights groups, including Brazil's National Alphabet Mafia, which wanted Piquet to pay 10 million Brazilian reals for alleged moral damages. Now, living in the UK, I'm sure that there's something similar to this that happens around this kind of crap in the UK now, right?
Wouldn't surprise me, but I laugh at the term moral damages because if we really want to go down that route, should we start talking about certain groups and their moral damages to the community?
Yeah, that's this is another thing that those of us who are keyed into the lies of anti-whiteism, we know that the morality that the people who push this kind of censorship and denigration of anything traditional or normal, they have an opposite morality to normal people, because they believe that it is moral and just to punish, steal, and silence normal people to privilege abnormal people for the benefit of abnormal people or anti-Western things like homosexuality, transgenderism, that kind of thing. And this judge, Pedro Matos de Arrudo, said that the amount of compensation was given in the sense that one should not only appreciate the reparative function of civil liability, but also, and perhaps mainly, the punitive function, so that as a society, we can someday be free from the pernicious acts that are racismus and homophobia. Now, for those of you who don't know a lot about Brazil, it is absolutely paused with anti-whiteism and leftism. These things have been making the entirety of Brazil suffer for decades. And for those of you that have been following Brazilian politics, you will know what I'm talking about. But it does not surprise me that a judge would say this and lean this way in this kind of case. Now, let's move now to The Guardian, of all places, because The Guardian has an article about this too. Piquet, of course, as we covered already, denies that the language he used was a racial slur. He says he makes no defense for it, and he probably should have used better language because, that's just an old man trying to be nice there. But it says that not only did he get a lifetime ban, but Piquet is not going to be revoked. Piquet's remarks, let's see, we already covered this. This describes Hamilton. I mean, this article says that he described Hamilton with an epithet that could be translated as the N-word. Now, I believe this is false with what I've been able to piece together. And but before we get into that, I want to read his statement here according to The Guardian. He says, this is a PK quote, "I would like to clear up the stories circulating in the media about a comment I made in an interview last year. What I said was ill thought out, and I make no defense for it, but I will clarify that the term used is one that has widely and historically been used colloquially in Brazilian Portuguese as a synonym for guy or person, and it was never intended to offend." He continues on by saying, "I would never use the word I have been accused of in some translations. I strongly condemn suggestion that the word was used by me with the aim of belittling a driver because of his race. I apologize wholeheartedly to anyone that was affected, including Lewis, who is an incredible driver, but the translation in some media that is now circulating on social media is not correct." And this is according to Piquet. Even Piquet says discrimination has no place in F1 or society. And I'm happy to clarify my thoughts. So, see, we don't even have an old man saying, yes, I used a racial slur and I'm proud of it. Now what? Even he says that he doesn't believe, quote, discrimination has a place in F1 or society, and he's trying to play along. So this to me is just the narrative finding an old white guy to crucify just for the sake of the narrative and to perpetuate anti-whiteism. So is that the vibe you get from this as well, Kizza?
Well, it seems to me the classic case of as soon as you step over the line, that's it. You're basically crucified.
Yeah.
But I digress. But but going back to the whole moral damages thing, I mean, considering the fact Lewis, in terms of Formula One, was the biggest spokesperson for a group that shall not be named, should he and the entirety of Formula One be forced to pay moral damages to all the victims of this group that they happily advertised back in 2020?
Speaking of moral damages.
Yeah, I mean, what's the bill now? Is it like over $2 trillion? Or is it more? Is it what's $3 trillion? Is it?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Oh, yeah. Let's not talk about that.
Well, I have two things here that I'd like to look at next about this. Here is on Urban Dictionary. It says that the Brazilian slang term is for nigga, but in Brazil, it can be used for white or black people or mixed race people. It's used to greet friends. It is not an offensive word in Brazil, but can be construed that way by outsiders. So here we have Urban Dictionary backing up that claim.
Yeah, exactly. And it's from 2010.
And here we have something more in depth that I'd like to read from. This is in r/Portuguese on Reddit. Here we talking about Piquet using Naguinho. I apologize if my Brazilian Portuguese sounds Spanish. I learned to speak Spanish when I was younger, so I'm sure that my intonation and that kind of thing will sound more Spanish than Portuguese. So I apologize. Here we go. He's talking about, of course, Piquet saying this particular N-word here. And he goes on to explain that as a native Brazilian Portuguese speaker, he says, this word translated literally means little black male. It is used by many Brazilians in these ways, as an informal way to say some people. And he gives an example in Portuguese. Used like this, it probably makes no reference to the ethnicity of the person or people. It's a generic term. Number two, a term of endearment for close people. My grandfather, for example, calls my grandmother Minha Naguinha. It is not uncommon in mixed ethnic families, like most Brazilian families are. Literally to say a little black male. In these cases, we have to consider why is the race of the individual that is being spoken about important to bring up. Why the speaker chose to use a diminutive word for it. Now, this guy has some opinions that I won't read because they're long and not very helpful. Yeah. But this is a Portuguese speaker that lays out how this term is used. The consensus of his opinion is that this guy was, in a way, using his language to speak down about Hamilton, but not necessarily in a racialized way. Just sort of he's a young punk, or he's young and I don't like what he did, or I don't like how he acts. And so his language reflected a bit of denigration, but likely not just calling him the N-word as we are radicalized to think by the media that every white person is just foaming at the mouth, ready to use the N-word against everybody of African heritage. So that's pretty much the take of this Reddit post here. So with what we have described so far, Kizza, what do you know of Piquet, and what do you think was going on in his mind when he chose that language? What do you think?
I think the issue, well, based on like the clip of the interview, it does seem like because he's clear, like I said, he's much older than he's obviously 69 at the time, or he might be 70 now.
Yeah, he's around 70.
Yeah, he's quite clear. He's not unfamiliar with the term. He's perhaps used it a lot, but ultimately the problem is context, and I would argue from the interview he wasn't being majorly denigrative to him, because ultimately he's talking about an incident that happened with his son-in-law, and then the interview itself talking about the comparison with Ayrton Senna, and he's trying to say no, it's nothing like that, because in his case, in Hamilton Verstappen's case, it was a racing incident which led to a massive accident.
Yeah.
Whereas with with Senna's position, it was deliberate. So and it was huge controversy back then. So I mean, if you look up any forums today, if you talk about Japan 1990, ultimately we can't really show the clip because Formula One's owned by Sky, and the clip's from the BBC, and we don't want to get into major controversies over copyright infringement. But if
I've gotten copy claims and copy takedowns just for showing a still shot of things on BBC before.
Exactly, BBC are the worst for that. They're like the worst for this stuff. But if you see it at the start, Senna just straight up takes him out. Not a case of he goes for a move and then can't pull out in time. He just goes full blast because he doesn't even hit the brakes.
Wow.
And it's lucky no one was hurt from that.
Yeah.
If that happened today, he'd have his license removed and he'd be banned from the sport forever. Because there was a case in the lower formulas, I believe it might have been, I believe it's the guy Dan Ticktum who did a similar move like that, and he's got a lifetime, and I'm pretty certain he's got a lifetime ban from all of motor racing, and that was in the junior categories.
Well, coming back to Piquet here, one of the things that makes me think Piquet is innocent and these charges are completely ludicrous and only exist to serve anti-whiteism. I think that if you put yourself in Piquet's shoes, he knows the climate of media. He knows that the things he says will be listened to by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, because F1 is one of the biggest things in the world. So he knows the kind of climate that we live in. He sees it happen in his country. He travels the world and he sees how the media are. He knows how these jackals are. So why would he use a word that would hang him? Why would he say a racial slur in an interview that he thinks that probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people will listen to? So I don't think that Piquet used anything in the vein of what we as Anglos would consider a racial slur. He might have been speaking dismissively or in even a denigrating tone about Hamilton, but that's probably because he doesn't like Hamilton or doesn't like how he behaved in the incident he was talking about. So, and also he put someone at risk who is almost like family to him now. So that's what I think. I think he was just using normal language to him. And I think that this is basically a witch hunt just to try to stir up this anti-white garbage in the media. And of course, like we mentioned earlier, crucify an older man. But from what you know about the way Piquet himself would talk or other famous retired F1 drivers, have you ever heard one of them use a racial slur or talk in a denigrative way, in base ways about someone's race before? Have you heard that? Because I haven't.
Not to my knowledge, no. But the thing is, as well, is that Lewis Hamilton still technically is the only out and out black F1 driver. Although some would argue he's technically not black because his mother's white, but I'm not going to go into that whole argument.
That's an argument that we never win. So I don't like to have the who's really right argument.
No, and that stuff. But it's I mean, the thing is though, what doesn't help Nelson is because of his reputation in the past of some of the things he said in the media.
And just being a blunt, older Portuguese gentleman who doesn't care for modern ridiculousness like homosexuality and that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, like I said before with the earlier comments, what he said about rival Senna or his former teammate and rival
Yeah.
Nigel Mansell, like, jeez, like some of the things he did come out with were pretty outrageous, like it's the type of stuff that would, if you're talking about like YouTube clips or like shorts or TikTok stuff, it's the sort of stuff you expect on there.
Mm.
And it's just like, I mean, these days it's like with F1 being the second largest sport in the world. Uh, it's just these days it's just you just basically can't speak at all. Like you're better off just not speaking, just taking the Kimi Raikkonen position. Kimi being a former Finnish Formula One driver, Formula One champion, I should say. Yeah, he barely spoke because these days with the media, they'll twist anything they want to.
Yeah, it's sad. When it comes to anything else about this case, or no, I shouldn't say case, anything about this
Yeah.
little drama event, anything that you've read about or anything else come to mind that's pertinent or relevant about the people involved or the claims?
Well, I mean, what makes me laugh, especially with Lewis Hamilton, he talks about the so-called getting rid of archaic mindsets. Because people seem to forget he got into a lot of trouble back in Christmas 2017 for an Instagram reel or Instagram video he put up of his nephew, I believe it was, wearing a dress, and which he responded, and I quote, "Boys don't wear dresses." And I will find you an article about this. And he got so much flack on social media for it.
And this was PK again?
No, Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, Lewis Hamilton said that. Oh, very
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's from it's literally from Christmas, from December, like I believe it was Christmas 2017. It's like is an article from the Independent. I'll just copy. I'll try and find you the actual video.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, it's like people forget like Lewis when he first came in, he wasn't super politically correct. He was actually quite enjoyable to like listen to and be around.
Yeah, back in the mid aughts, the mid to late aughts, when I paid attention to F1 back in the day, I didn't hate Hamilton. I didn't particularly like him, but I didn't find the things he said egregious or stand out. Let me pop this open here. We'll have a look at it.
Yeah, find the clip in question. Yeah.
Here we go. Lewis Hamilton. This is back from 2017, around Christmas, like you said. Lewis Hamilton under fire for telling nephew boys don't wear princess dresses. I mean, he's right about that. Boys shouldn't wear dresses. Like, he's correct. Lewis Hamilton sparked quote-unquote outrage, and every time you see the media say this is a lie, by the way. For those of you that you might need a refresher, whenever the media talks about outrage, it really means nothing. It means they want NPCs to be outraged about this to drive traffic. That's what it means anytime you see the media use phrases like sparked outrage. On Instagram, he said, "Boys don't wear princess dresses." In the video, which Kizza is looking for, it says Formula One driver can be seen disapprovingly commenting on his nephew's choice of attire. Hamilton begins the video by facing the camera and expressing his disappointment. "I'm so sad right now," he said. "Look at my nephew." Then he turns to the camera, who's very happy. The boy, who's happily wearing a princess dress, waves a wand. He says, "Why are you wearing a princess dress? Is this what you got for Christmas?" So apparently, Mr. Hamilton here. Now, is he homosexual? I've heard that.
The thing is, there's been rumors for many years that he is secretly gay, but the thing is, there's no like official proof of this because he has been seen dating various women. Because for many years, early on in his career, he was dating the Pussycat Doll Nicole Scherzinger.
Okay.
Scherzinger, I forget how you pronounce her name exactly, but they were together for about nearly 6 years.
Okay.
But then they decided to split because, if memory serves, she said that Lewis Hamilton didn't want to settle down and get married.
Okay.
Which I find kind of ironic. Which I find slightly ironic. It's like, honey, you're a pop star. You were technically more famous than he was when you met each other. And now he's more famous than you and you want to settle down.
Well, here's the video in question.
Points? Oh, what's that deal? Were you starting to slide down because because of biological reasons? Was that it, dear? Oh no, wait. We could, that's too much of a hot pill take. We cannot touch the red pill.
Well, let's have a listen to this back from 2017. Let's have
Yeah.
a listen to this.
I'm so sad right now. Look at my nephew. Why are you wearing a princess dress? Is this what you got for Christmas? Why did you ask for a princess dress for Christmas? Boys don't wear princess dresses.
See what I mean?
Okay, to me that just seems funny. Like he didn't seem particularly mad or mean or anything. He was just saying something funny at his nephew.
Well,
But he's
exactly,
right.
exactly.
Like boys shouldn't wear dresses. But
Exactly.
I find it interesting that this man who in recent memory, just like 6 years ago, would say something tepid, normal that you would expect any uncle to say if he saw his little nephew prancing around and pretending to be a fairy from a Disney cartoon or whatever. Like that's a pretty normal thing that a man in a family would say. That's pretty normal. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, as far as the comments about Hamilton being homosexual, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about drivers' private lives. I don't care one way or the other. Hamilton doesn't look particularly homosexual to me. I mean, I'm sure he could be. Like, he doesn't look like a flamer. He doesn't look, particularly homo to me. But whether he is or not, I still think that it's okay and acceptable and probably important for heterosexual men to sort of speak in a negative tone about homosexuality, because tone policing and social enforcement and shaming is how society functions. It's how cultures and communities function and uphold their norms. So I think that it is not just acceptable, but good for men to say that, boys shouldn't wear dresses and that kind of thing. So it's strange to me. I wonder how much of this ridiculous punishing civil suit, I wonder how much of this was Hamilton's idea. Like, do you think that this was his idea and he pushed for it? Or do you think this was just sort of a media craze thing? Because I couldn't find in the media that I looked at today about this, I couldn't find if Hamilton was the one responsible for the civil case. Like, did he start this?
No, to be honest, I don't think it was him. It was more of a case of certain activist groups saw a chance and they sprung on it. It's like typical when prime example, especially in like United States, when a celebrity, says something that's against the grain slightly, and then there's this super freaking activist campaign to try and get someone cancelled or fined or prosecuted. Seems to be a classic case like that. I mean, like Lewis himself, it's not just that as well. I mean, he has been called out numerous times in recent years over his blatant hypocrisy on numerous subjects. Like he's somebody who's meant to be a big ambassador for like people being more open about the being gay, lesbian, all that stuff. But then he happily kept his mouth shut while racing in countries where that's heavily forbidden, like in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Complete MIA, as they say, missing in action. And then there's the whole him being an environmentalist, yet he has one of the most expensive gas guzzling car collections you ever see. And also he's in a sport where they're traveling all around the world. I know commentators that we watch as well, like they've ripped him apart numerous times on this stuff.
Okay. All right.
Especially a certain Englishman who we know by 3 letters ripped into him over 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, honestly, like, it's a good thing I'm not in F1 because, my God, I be making headlines with my mouth every single time there's a race weekend. Hell, like, it makes me laugh that around the same time, I think it was the same year where Lewis Hamilton had that "boys don't wear dresses" comment. Formula One and loads of other motorsports pulled grid girls because of feminists. For those who don't know, the grid girls used to be all the ladies who used to like wear like sponsorship kits with the cars and all that. They pulled that thanks to feminists and loads of ladies. I remember it was on one of those primetime morning shows. I don't think it was Good Morning Britain. I think it was This Morning, a rival one. And they were fuming at this because the lady
Oh, I
said, "Look,
remember. I talked about this on my channel, I think 4 or 5 years ago, how
yeah,
in the past, grid girls, I mean, because F1 and other racing too, Grand Prix and all the other big ones,
yeah,
having grid girls is a very tried and true profession of, hey, how are we going to chintz up this event? Well, let's hire some pretty young girls to walk around because everybody likes pretty young girls. And
well, yeah,
thousands of women made a lot of money being grid girls and working around
exactly,
racing. And then
exactly."
the anti-whites who call themselves feminists got involved, and they're like, "Oh no, empowerment this and abusing women that and all this stuff." And so they basically forced racing to stop having grid girls, putting thousands and thousands of women out of their part-time job and depriving them of money and opportunity, which is kind of counter to the message that these idiots that call themselves feminists seem to have.
Well, you see, dear, you're not allowed to use sex appeal if it, quote unquote, benefits the so-called male sphere or manosphere, whatever terms they like to come up with these days. And I'm just like, hold on. Back at the main guy who kicked off the whole quote unquote grid girl revolution, as you could call it, was the British F1 champion James Hunt. Now, for those of you who may be familiar with the term, he's the main star in the wonderful documentary, semi-documentary film Rush, with his rivalry with what's his face, Nicky Lauda. And James Hunt back in the day, like, my God, you could not have a guy like him, a guy who actively smokes, has intercourse, breakfast of champions on his racing overalls, turned up with utterly gorgeous women, just a proper Jack the Lad, even though he was
Mhm.
brought up very from a very posh background, you know. Uh very funny, Rat King. That stuff, and it's just that's just the grid girl stuff. And then you had all these, gorgeous women from all over the world being able to take part in the industry and getting good money for it. Like from the interview this morning, I think a lot of the women used to say they used to take home 6 figures a year.
Yeah,
Six
yeah. So
figures,
some of them made a ton of money doing this. Yeah,
exactly. And also, a lot of them, they got to travel. If they got hired by a team, you get to travel the world.
and don't forget, like young girls that want to trade on their looks and their charm, like outside of sex work and prostitution and stuff. This
Yeah.
is how a lot of young women get their start. Just getting into networking, working for local television, being newscasters, doing interviews, anything that involves a young lady using her charm, her looks, her charisma. A lot of young girls get their start doing stuff like this, doing promotion for sporting events and racing. And so it was surprising to, well, not surprising, but just sort of a I can't believe they actually did this moment when a bunch of these jackals, these anti-whites who call themselves feminists, basically destroyed a huge opportunity for thousands and thousands of women, for the good of women. And I just thought that was just pathetic and almost unbelievable.
Yeah, but then again, the whole aspect of using your quote unquote aesthetics to get to use that to help improve yourselves. It makes me laugh how these feminists constantly double cross themselves multiple times on the subject, because they say intercourse work is real work, but then take issue with the whole aspect of that industry, but at the same time are okay with OnlyFans because you're liquidating poor worthless men out of their money, but at the same time they don't like to be used and abused by so-called highly successful men who can intercourse them and chuck them, to
Yeah,
use
it's definitely
YouTube
just
safe terms.
it's full of double standards. I really don't like this
But
this ugly morality of the modern era. It's very
but
very
yeah,
ugly.
But yeah, Rat King did bring up a point that I completely forgot about. There was an incident in 2000, I think it was 2011. Rat King, please correct me if I'm wrong on this, or anyone else in the comments when this is finished. There was an incident where he talked about getting some unfair treatment from stewards, and he made the classic "maybe it's because I'm black" comment, which I know the likes of Bernie Ecclestone did push back on straight away for that.
Hmm.
I think it was in 2011 when he wasn't having it as good, where he was having a bit of a rough season with McLaren, Mercedes, but I
Yeah,
could be wrong on that. I could be wrong on that. So so I don't want to be accused of spreading misinformation and fake news in 2023. But yeah, but as another commentator, Forza Blanquito correctly points out, the success of 50 Shades of Grey shows the hypocrisy of women.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. I saw that comment.
But I digress. I mean, the whole incident itself is just, it's just, but go back to the original topic. Like the whole thing itself is just like, it's just a classic. It seems to be a classic case of a perfect storm of an older gentleman using what's considered common language in his native country, so-called Western regressives seeing a perfect opportunity to spin it.
Yeah. Well, I think that we've come to the end of everything I had prepared and wanted to say about the topic. Is there anything else that comes to mind at all, or any ideas you have, or anything in particular about the PK Hamilton thing you want to talk about?
Not personally. Like, I mean, I do know when the incident happened, this whole case was brought to light. I remember Max Verstappen, who I think he's married to Kelly Piquet, Nelson's daughter. I could be wrong on that. I remember lots of people tried to, talk about it and then trying to get involved, trying to restart the whole Hamilton Verstappen rivalry again in like 2022, and he was just like, it's nothing to do with me. He was just like, I am not getting. He was basically very clear, like, I'm not getting involved, and he's Dutch, so the Dutch are not known for, are very well known for being very upfront.
Yeah.
He was just like, I'm not having any of this.
Well, since we've come to the end of the topic, guys, if there's anything you want to ask me and Kizza, anything you want to bring up to hear us talk about, or if you have questions about not just F1, but anything going on that you think Kizza and I would like to talk about in regards to today, or just topics you want to bring up, I have Entropy open, I have Cash App open, and PayPal open. If you guys would like to send in questions and comments and support the channel, now's the time to do so, because these segments only go on for around an hour, so we're getting close to the end now. We have something already over on Rumble. We have a $5 paid Rumble from Dan C. Thank you so much, Dan. Caslaw is what the C stands for over here. Yeah. He says, for $5, some feminists like to hate the, quote, male gaze, Gaze. Imagine hating what men do with their own eyes. Yeah.
Yes, the classic of the male gaze. Yes. Well, you see, this is what makes me laugh about the whole male gaze thing. Is that they hate it, but they want it at the same time. That blatant, massive double thing that goes in their minds is so hilarious, because it's like the classic. I'm sure you've seen this meme before, Years, and others here.
Mm-hmm.
You know that classic meme of, if a guy says a lie, the girl responds negatively, but if another guy says the exact same line, she responds positively to it?
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's a classic case of, like, you can get away with anything if you are attractive, but you can't. But you are always going to be prosecuted if you're considered ugly.
I think in regards to the male gaze thing, it to me it speaks to a problem that we've had the last 100 years or so, where this choice of men in power to elevate and equalize the importance of what women as a group or individual women have to say. I think there have always been very brilliant, very influential female people. I don't think that's false. But I do think that when you look at the sexes, like as large groups, women are more fulfilled by living within a framework of protection and guidance of males of the species. And I don't think that the male gaze idea or concept recognizes what most women actually want. Like, somebody brought up 50 Shades of Grey in the chat there. This is a difference between stated preference and revealed preference.
Exactly.
Stated preference is what people feel like they are expected to say because they don't want to be perceived as morally negative. So when you question people on the street and you just or you're doing a blind survey or whatever, people will oftentimes state something they don't actually believe out of fear of being perceived as a bad guy or a fear of being attacked and slandered by whether it's the media or a professor or something like that. Now, most women, obviously, that are in the book reading market seem to have really liked 50 Shades of Grey. Now, I'm not going to go into what the subject matter is because I don't care for it, but the revealed preference there is that women like dominant males to set the rules and all this other stuff. And 50 Shades of Grey is a very sexual book, so I don't like to go into that element of it, but
Yeah.
it's the obvious revealed preference of what adult women actually want. And this male gaze thing is just, it's awful because it's acting like what most women naturally crave, not just because nature makes them that way, but because that's what leads to most women's happiness. They want to be appealing to the sensory of men because they want to be involved in what a man makes for her. They want to be protected and have a husband and a provider and someone who can be a good father to children. And most women want to be mothers. Most women want to have a protective, dominant husband that makes that stuff possible. And to participate in the male gaze means that women care about that. They care about being pretty and attractive and desirable to men. And I think that this whole male gaze thing is just one of the many, many parts of the anti-white tapestry that has been woven into us for decades. And that's what I think about that, Dan. Anything else on the old male gaze garbage, Kizza?
Well, yes. Well, yes, it's funny you mentioned that. I posted a clip in the private chat. I would like you to screen share.
Oh, sure. Yeah, give me a second.
This is a very famous quote. Our mutual friend Spoon loves referencing.
Oh, I've seen this before. Yeah, this is. Let me put that up.
So yes. When everyone gets to see. This is a very, very, very infamous quote from Her Majesty Queen Victoria. Were women to unsex themselves and claiming equality with men, they will become the most hateful, heathen, and disgusting of beings and would surely perish without male protection.
That's one of the most based things ever said by a woman.
And here's the ironic thing, though, is Queen Victoria at the time was arguably the most powerful woman in the world. And I mean real power, not the kind of AOC style power. Hell, Hillary Clinton is craving this level of power that Queen Victoria had. And she knew full well as a woman the importance of men. She knew full well the importance of men. And she, despite being quite as many people will say in the chat and watching this afterwards, a base woman, she still fulfilled her womanly duties, to use such a phrase. Because if memory serves, she had either 11 kids or 13 kids.
Wow.
Yeah. Got to maintain the bloodline, which a lot of people seem to forget. If you want to claim you are a queen, any ladies out there who might be listening claim you want to maintain to being a queen, well, one of the rules of the queen is bloodlines, having children.
You have to make a lot of good, successful children.
Exactly. And that's what you need to do. You need to secure the bloodline, and especially if you have a king, you do not embarrass them in public. You do not ever embarrass them in public. Privately, if you have an issue, you discuss it privately when no one is listening.
I'm going to save that. I'm going to use that quote.
Exactly. It's a great quote because I've used it recently, especially when I hear certain lady creators dunking on feminism, and I hear people try and claim, oh, feminism is about equality. I just bring up this quote by Her Majesty Queen Victoria, and they have nothing to say afterwards. Because I'm pretty certain that quote at the time was taken when the suffragette movement was starting to make waves.
Ugh. What a disaster that's been for women. And all of us, but especially women.
Well, yes, but that's why I jokingly say to people, they best hope I never get the magic lamp and have my 3 wishes. Because, oh boy, talk about opening the abyss. And I think despite being a hardcore Republican that you are, you might be consider yourself, screw the Republic. I
wouldn't say I'm a hardcore Republican, Kizza.
I don't. I have been
voting for the Republicans for a lot of years because most of the people that I think are better than the other options are Republican. But I don't like the Republicans or the Democrats as an entity. I'm against both of them. I don't like either party.
But yes, you misunderstand me, dear. I'm talking about Republicanism as in the political system, not the party.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I do like having a republic more than I like having a monarchy. But again, That's just my druthers, and I don't really
Yeah.
care what shape or form our socioeconomic structure takes in the future. I just want it to be one that works for us and is good for us. Whatever it is, whatever that ends up being, I don't really care. I just want it to be good for us.
Exactly. Which I remember getting into an argument with somebody, and I said to him, "Look, if you think about it, if you look at this on a political spectrum, monarchy is the most right-wing political structure,
Mhm.
whereas democracy is technically the most left-wing structure."
Well, I mean, you could probably go more left than that, but I mean, you're talking
Touche. But what I mean
like
is,
full on communism type shit.
touche. Yeah, but I'm talking about political structures,
Yeah,
like
political
how.
structures. Yeah, liberal democracies, as we know them today, are about as left wing as a functional state can be. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, whereas like as I pointed as our friends Spoon and Aiden love pointing out, all the symbols of democracy are overwhelmingly feminine in nature, whereas almost all the symbols for monarchy are overwhelmingly masculine.
Well, let's see here. I have a blinky on my phone, but it's just an update alert. So
No
we
worries.
don't have anything new over on Cash App. I'm going to check entropy again here. Nothing on entropy today either. And no tips on Subscribestar. Nothing over on PayPal. I will refresh PayPal again because sometimes things take a moment to come in. Let's go ahead and
The chat is like, I think it's quite liking Queen Victoria.
Oh yes, it's a
Carlotta
wonderful quote.
Putis, she popped out babies like a queen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we've come to the end of the stream. So
No worries.
unless there's any other engagement from people, we won't be reading any other chats. Kizza,
worries.
is there anything you'd like to chat about or anything you want to talk about since it's been a year since our last proper engagement together? Anything come to mind? Anything you want to talk to me about on air here?
I'm trying to think without referencing personal stuff. Well, let me think here. I will say right now, our friends Aiden and Spoon are just streaming right now at Broken Crown, which I did politely say they did. God damn it, Aiden, you stream at the worst time.
I didn't know that they streamed on Sunday. Is it a
They
one-off
tend
thing?
no, they've done it a few times. What happens is when they're streaming on Wednesday, they have a load of topics. They tend to get sidetracked a lot, don't finish it, and then they do a second stream on the Sunday. But hopefully, fingers crossed, I might be joining them next Sunday because it will be
Okay.
the coronation of King Charles III, and they are both hard monarchists. So hopefully, I might be joining them. I'm not sure. I have to double check with them
Okay.
because English representation. But
So let's do some housekeeping on my channel here
Sure thing.
since we're at the end. I would like to have some kind of stream that doesn't have to happen on a set schedule, but
Yeah.
I would like to regularly have on people in the Anglosphere, whether they're a Commonwealth country, an American, from the British Isles. I would like to have regular conversations with people, but not necessarily about politics, just about cultural things that we like, whether it be sport or racing, F1, NASCAR, whether it be about maybe Australian rules football, rugby, or have people on to talk about fiction of some such. And ideas that I had were maybe the Anglo Hour or Anglosphere cultural something. I don't have a good name for the stream series, so I went ahead and just called this stream today the 7th installment of A Colonist and a Brit Get Along with Talking with Kizza, because I knew it was going to be with just you. Going forward, though, Kizza, maybe once a month, I would like to do a stream where we have on maybe one or two people in the Anglosphere, and we just talk about something that interests us. Maybe it's something big in the news. Maybe it's something that we all just are excited and want to talk about. Would that be something you'd want to be a part of once a month?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because ultimately, I know you messaged me about the Piquet thing at least. What was it, about 3 months ago? Was it?
No, it was only about a month ago, because it just got popular in the news in March, and it's just now the end of April.
Yeah.
So I think it was only about 4 weeks ago that I messaged you about it.
Fair enough. Yeah. But it does kind of make me laugh, like this type of subject. But yeah, definitely, because we did have some fun with our streams back when we had lockdowns.
Yeah.
So it was much easier just to set up a stream whenever. Whereas now with my job, I'm now doing 10-hour shifts instead of 7.5-hour shifts because we cut some heads.
Well,
And I'm also doing
Sundays around this time before Jason's stream, which happens at 5 p.m.
yeah,
Eastern here in 3 hours. Between
yeah,
around when we talk today and about 2 hours from now, it's a good window for me each week because
yeah.
Sundays a day I do laundry. I start getting my head in the game. I start catching up on news, that kind of thing, to get ready for the work week. So Sunday around this time is a good time for me to stream. So I thought this would be, maybe once a month whenever we can make it happen.
Yeah,
Maybe me and
definitely.
you and just one or maybe two other people, get together and talk for an hour or two about something that's interesting. Not necessarily politics because I try to avoid that now, but just
Well,
anything that might be going on that affects or is important to Anglo people.
yeah, I mean, Forza Blanquita makes a good comment. Anglo should be talking about the weather.
Yeah.
That's another chestnut. But
That's very
no,
apt.
it
Very apt.
is quite funny because I actually know a friend from Texas who's actually currently visiting England, and she's already in Scotland right now, and she was begging me to pop up tomorrow. And I'm just like, look, dear, I'd love to take a train up to you, dear, but I got the freaking morning shift on the Tuesday, dear.
Oh,
Just like,
wow.
oh, but it's like,
There's no way you
yeah,
could
yeah.
make it. Yeah.
No, because like she was like, "Oh, could you come to Manchester?" I'm like, "Look, that's a 3 hour train ride
One way.
one
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
and if I'm going back to 6 hours, and like, sure, I'm not working tomorrow because it's bank holidays, but like, I still got to get up early for Tuesday, and obviously, I couldn't come up today because I was doing this with you, and I also have my niece over on Sundays. That's my time with my niece, who
Yeah.
she keeps getting bigger. God damn it! Why can't she stay small? Why can't she stay tiny,
Why can't she
tiny,
stay
tiny?
adorable forever?
Well, she's still adorable now, but like, why can't she stay tiny, small little baby? But I digress. Like, my sister's
Well,
going to kill me when it comes to her second birthday.
when it comes to other streams on my channel,
Yeah.
also once a month, I would like to do something that's gaming specific. This doesn't necessarily involve Kizza. My friend Ginger, who you guys know, and my Belgian friend Christopher Everard, who's a novelist and into interesting gaming things. I would like to have a stream where we talk about gaming art, whether it be video games, tabletop, that kind of thing. And I haven't got a good name for that type of hangout stream yet. And any of you who have ideas for what I could call a stream of where I just talk to my friends about interesting gaming lore or gaming products or video games
Whoa.
or that
I
kind of
got
thing.
I
I would like to once a month just have a fun casual stream where I talk to people that I like and we just have a good conversation and put that on my channel because I want to start making my channel about positive things, culture, community, and sort of moving away from just talking about negative stuff and covering politics and culture war stuff because that stuff makes me miserable. And I would like to
I
do something fun that is not miserable. So maybe this is going to be the end of my channel because people have gotten used to me talking about that stuff. But I for the last several years, I've been pushing the envelope. And I feel like we've had a lot of great successes, and now much bigger channels than me are talking about the problems that I wanted people to talk about like 6 or 7 years ago when I first started becoming a public voice about all this. So I kind of feel like that arc of mine is done. But I like being a talker. I like being a networker. I like getting people together and streaming and help promoting ideas and artwork and things that I think are good. So I'm going to be doing more of that on my channel. So you guys can expect that going forward. And of course, tomorrow night, we are going to have Discordant Dragons. We're going to have
of
on some
course.
familiar faces and hopefully a new guy if I can get him locked into tomorrow night. So that's what you can expect from me in the near future. So, Kizza, thank you for being here again today. Any
No
closing
problem,
thoughts
dear.
or anything you want to say before we get out of here?
I would say I thought of an idea for that type of stream or video you would like to do. It's quite ironic, but hear me out. This you could call it the man cave.
Oh no, I don't. I don't want to promote longhouse words. Thanks.
No, no, but like technically, if you think about it, that's what you associate with a man cave. So,
Wait, what?
what's yeah, that's what you associate with the man cave. Like when someone says, "Oh, I got my man cave," it's like, "Oh, what's in it?" And it's normally full of gaming stuff.
Yeah, I know,
So,
but it's just that phrase itself. It's like that. I
oh,
don't
right. It's right. It's not YouTube friendly, so we should call it the person cave.
no. But
Uh,
anyway,
yeah, no
any
worries.
other closing thoughts before we say our goodbyes and get out of here? Because it's been almost exactly an hour.
Well, what I will say for any new viewers here, please do subscribe to Yiz. She's desperately trying to grow her channel to try and hit 4K subscribers, preferably 5.
And also, please follow me on Rumble and Odyssey too, because I'm
Yes.
trying to grow on other places because I don't know how long YouTube's going to be viable. Right now, it's the best that I have, just because some growth does happen here organically, despite how throttled I am. But and also, I don't think it's just the throttling. I understand I don't appeal to a lot of people, and it's very
Yeah.
difficult for any kind of small creator to grow on YouTube now. I understand that, but
Oh no, though today you basically have to start a trend or catch on to a trend that gets you huge amounts of views. Because
yeah.
I have heard recently that apparently the shorts are what people are migrating to, because apparently that it makes it easier to monetize, and apparently you get a lot of views that way. Like
Yeah,
views and
but
subs that
I'm
way.
not
But
doing shorts. I hate TikTok. I don't want to feel like my content creation and what I want to do with my time is beholden to just chasing whatever's working for the YouTube algorithm. I refuse to let myself be that as a content creator. So
that's very fair, dude.
I'm never going to do that.
But yeah, but also Yiz does have a special Telegram channel. If you any of you who are still on Telegram, please do chat in there. We do it's pretty active in there. You know, we chat about stuff. We send each
Yeah,
other
we have
articles.
one of the guys in the White Whale Being community making fun little games, little simple computer games about. I don't really know what it's about. It looks silly, like you're just running around.
It's like a sort of like a wipe-em-all. It's sort of like a Contra style
It's some kind of
Flash
little
game.
simple shooter, like a little. It looks like an old timey
Top
Flash
flashers.
game. I don't know if
Yeah.
people even use Flash anymore. I'm probably incorrect about that.
I think Flash has basically kind of died out with HTML5 coming in. That's why a lot of
again,
old.
I don't know anything about that tech stuff, but yeah, over
Yeah.
in Telegram, his name is, let me get it, Dan Schilling.
Yep.
He's working on having a multiplayer where you play cute little Western hero characters that look like, maybe they're British military or old timey American heroes like George Washington, and you shoot at like NPCs and blue haired feminists and stuff, and you collect coins. It's just a cute little pro white game. And he shares his updates for that in that channel. We have people sharing news and talking about just all kinds of things under the sun. We have people sharing stuff in there. So it's a fun little Telegram group if you like that. But with that being said, we're going to say our goodbyes. Thank you guys for visiting. We had about 30, on all platforms, we had around 30 or 32 live viewers at peak today, which is pretty good for an impromptu Sunday stream. Not bad. And you can see us again tomorrow night, same time as usual, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. British time. I'll be doing Discordant Dragons tomorrow night, and we will go from there. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening, get some rest, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And I especially hope to see you at Jason's Go Free stream here in a couple of hours. Take care, everybody. Keep heart.
Take care, all.